I, 29F, traveled across the country to visit a company regarding an incredible job offer. I spent 2 days touring the company to decide if it would be the right fit for me after years of self-employment. After meeting with the company, I visited my sister, 32F, and her family a few towns over. We barely get to see each other because of work and distance, so it was wonderful to spend a few days with her, the family, and her new baby. I was gone for a total of 8 days. When I returned home, I was excited to spend time with my husband, 33M, and tell him about the trip, my visit with my sister, my impression of the city, etc. We were meant to be celebrating our anniversary, and decided to put off the discussion about whether or not I should accept the job offer until after our anniversary getaway. I'd arranged for us to go on a luxury train ride because he's a big train enthusiast, and we were meant to leave for the trip 3 days after I got home. This is when the problem started. I have a very large closed bioactive terrarium which I made with my mother 15 years ago. It's one of my favorite things I have of her from before she passed. This terrarium is my pride and joy, and has come with me everywhere since we planted it. It was always super healthy and beautiful, and I've only ever had to open it 4 times to do a little maintenance and watering. My husband knows all of this, which is why I don't understand why he decided to tamper with it in my absence. I didn't notice the night I got home because I was exhausted, but the next morning, I went to check on the terrarium to find it in a terrible state. The roots were rotting and the plants dying and molding. He told me that the day I left, he poured a few cups of water into the vessel and sealed it again. I was so mad I cried, and it turned into a huge argument because it's just a plant and all you do is look at it anyway. He called me ungrateful and overdramatic, and that I should appreciate that his intention was to help me, and that he didn't ask because he didn't want to bother me on my trip. I ended up cancelling our anniversary plans, partly because I was so upset that I didn't want to go, and partly because I wanted to try and salvage the plants, and that would require time. He hit the roof when I told him and is now sleeping in a separate room and refusing to speak to me because, according to him, I'm being petty and trying to destroy our marriage. Am I being oversensitive about my plants? My friends are pretty evenly split and have pointed out that he was just trying to be thoughtful, however misguided it was. Comment 1, NTA, and I doubt your husband was trying to help. Firstly, if you have only opened it a few times, then he knows it doesn't get watered that often. Secondly, he knows how much it means to you, so should know that you would have taken care of it before you went or would have left very detailed instructions. Also, how big is it? Would a few cups of water been way too much even if he was just being helpful? The "you just look at it" comment is also strange. That's what everyone does with their plants. Comment 2. I mean, his reaction makes it pretty clear he was jealous of you and lashing out. Maybe he thinks you spend too much time with the terrarium. Maybe he doesn't want to move. Maybe he's jealous of your success, I don't know. But I can tell you, any good partner who genuinely and accidentally destroys a beloved item when trying to help immediately comes clean, takes blame and offers any form of reparations they can. I've had to do it myself. So now you're left with the reality that regardless of why, but we all know it was to spite you, your husband clearly doesn't care about hurting you. New information unlocked. How are you going to proceed? Comment 3. My partner once accidentally pulled the pom-pom off my hat. He was so apologetic. I told him it was okay, and I could easily sew it back on. He said he was still sorry because he knew I liked the hat, and felt bad for even temporarily damaging it. If he ever ruined something of mine to the point where I was crying about it, he would be incredibly sorry and immediately drop everything to try and make it right. Even if your husband didn't borderline destroy your terrarium on purpose, but I think he did, a good partner would feel remorseful and want to help fix what they had damaged. The fact that he's mad at you for being upset, and doing nothing to try and mend things with you? That's not how a good partner should react. My husband 35M Jake, and I 30F have a group of friends from his college. B 35F, G 35M, and Lou 35F. B is jealous of Lou because Lou dated someone who rejected her. Lou, Jake and I live far from B and G, 2 hours from a tourist city on what we call our homestead. We have a garden, chickens, a dairy cow, and we don't eat store-bought processed foods except on special occasions. My family never eats meat or dairy unless we know where it came from. Since I am a stay-at-home mom, I make things from scratch, including butter, buttermilk, farmer's cheese, cream cheese, etc. Lou lives a similar lifestyle. We will trade eggs or canned goods from our garden for goat cheese or things she grows. Her neighbor raises beef cattle, so we have met the cows before. We split a cow with Lou's family this past year. B and G were visiting the city not too far, so decided to have a dinner at my house. I made pasta with garlic bread, butter, chicken parmigiana. Our eating morals aren't something I talk about, so B and G weren't aware. Lou hadn't been by in a while, so when she got to our house she brought a bag of her frozen meatballs that we had traded for. My kids were all raving about them as they really are so good, and B gets a look asking what is so special about them. I told her Lou must have some secret sauce because I can never compete with them. Dinner goes well outside of that. B and G planned to stop for dinner on their way home. Lou and I were making dinner when they arrived. B was holding a tray of meatballs that looked to be homemade. She was smiling and walked in asking everyone to try them. I don't force my kids to follow the know your cow thing, but my daughter asked her what cow the meatballs were from. B laughed and said it was just grocery store meat and to try it, she would like it. My daughter said no thanks. B went around trying to get people to eat them, but my family and Lou's family all said no thank you. G was eating them, trying to save the situation, but she came into the kitchen looking like she was going to cry and started yelling at Lou and I, saying how we really turned our families against her and are refusing to try her food out of spite. I explained we don't eat meat or dairy unless we know the animal. She laughed and told me to stop lying. She brought up the meal at my house had cheese, butter, chicken and milk, and there's no way I knew the cow that Lou's meatballs had came from. I explained that we did know that cow, our dairy cow and chicken. I said we call ourselves vegan when we are out. She just said right, how convenient that when it's Lou it's fine but not me. She grabbed G and they left. They haven't said anything to us besides one FB post be made about fake vegans who are only vegan when it suits them for attention. Which makes me think we should have just tried her meatballs. Comment 1, NTA, she only made meatballs to try compete with the ones Lou made. You guys were preparing dinner when they arrived with the meatballs, so I assume she wasn't asked to bring food. If she had said she was bringing food, you would have told her of your restrictions. It isn't something you need to advertise and talk about when you are providing the food, so understand why you didn't bring it up when they had dinner previously. And I understand why it is just easier to be vegan when eating out. Comment 2. I feel terrible for B. She had no reason to know your weird know your cow rules if you never told her. She went to a lot of effort to make meatballs and you all treated them as though they were radioactive. You say you do eat other food on special occasions. This was a special occasion. Congratulations on your so very high eating morals. You've patted yourself on the back for them enough. Your friendship morals, however, are lacking. YTA. Comment 3. YTA. You are exhausting and full of crap. You have every right to call yourself vegan or whatever, but are you really? Imagine if you had made the dinner and your friends would have said something like, hey, I will have to skip this dinner because I didn't meet your cow. Come on. When someone does something nice, if it doesn't hurt you, then gracefully accept it. Stop being this pretentious person you are. I'm pregnant with mine, 28F, and my husband's, 30M, first baby. When we found out I was expecting, we agreed that my husband should tell his sister, aka sister-in-law, about the pregnancy privately, just the two of them. This is because sister-in-law has suffered 5 miscarriages in the past 2 years. We knew this would make our news harder to handle, and because I am not close to sister-in-law at all, but my husband and sister-in-law are, we agreed he was the best person to speak to. I also worried with sister-in-law and I not being close it would hurt more coming from me. She responded well when my husband told her and expressed no hard feelings. That reaction was just for my husband though. The next time I saw sister-in-law, she spoke like I had gotten pregnant just to give her parents a grandchild because I knew she wanted to give them the first grandchild. This is not true, and given how she was with my husband, it was surprising she reacted that way to me. But I didn't want to cause any trouble, so I said nothing. When we announced to everyone else, sister-in-law said nothing to me but did speak to my husband and congratulated him again. He found it strange, and I said we weren't close, so that was probably it. At that point I felt like if that's how it would be, it was tolerable at least. But the next time I saw her, she accused me of rubbing my pregnancy in her face because I started to show very fast. I told her that was not what I was doing, but she accused me of exaggerating my belly, despite the fact I was trying to not show it off. I told my husband about the encounter and the first one, and he said he would speak to her. She told him it was just very hard to see me pregnant and having what she wanted. He told her it wasn't fair to speak to me like that though. She apologized to me after talking to my husband, but I did not feel it was genuine. However, I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. Then last weekend we were celebrating Phil's birthday and my husband's cousin was asking if he could touch my belly. I told him he wouldn't feel the baby move yet, but he could if he wanted to. He replied I was huge, so how would he not feel the baby move? My husband's aunt apologized for her son, who has special needs. But hearing that set sister-in-law off, and she lost her temper and accused me of flaunting around a fake baby bump when I'm not big enough to show yet. She told me I was flaunting my healthy pregnancy in her face and trying to make her feel like shit. My husband told her to stop. Mother-in-law told her I had concealed any sign of the bump, so how was it flaunting it? She said I was a coward for not telling her face to face and letting her say what she would have earlier, and for sending my husband, her brother, to do it. Mother-in-law and my husband were trying to calm her down, but then she accused me of being selfish and cruel, and I became so frustrated that I told her I was sorry for her miscarriages, but she shouldn't take the losses out on me. I excused myself after that, but she was screaming that I was heartless. Comment 1. NTA, as someone who has suffered multiple miscarriages, it is incredibly hard to see someone pregnant and having the pregnancy you want. 5 miscarriages in 2 years is tough, but her reaction isn't okay. You were sensitive to her losses, you had her brother tell her privately so she wouldn't be blindsided, and you aren't flaunting your bump. Some people just show earlier than others. She should look at talking to someone to help with her grief. Her sadness shouldn't mean you can't enjoy your pregnancy and be excited by it. Comment 2. I had 3 miscarriages when I was trying for my first. My sister had 3 healthy, easy pregnancies before I could even hang onto one pregnancy. For my sister it seemed like it was as easy as shelling peas. I never begrudged her success with pregnancies. I was happy that she wasn't having to go through what I was going through, because I love her and wouldn't wish what had happened to me on anyone. Yes, it was hard at times. I wanted a child so bad it was sometimes hard to think of anything else, but my failure to hold onto a pregnancy was nothing to do with my sister. I, 33F, have a cousin, 32F, who has always been in a competition with me. I did not care, because this whole idea of let's see who is better is just foreign to me. We applied to the same university, but she did not get in. She ended up going to another university which she then kept on claiming is better anyways. Again, couldn't care less. I was just happy she is not at the same school so I don't have to put up with this nonsense anymore. Fast forward to now, we see each other at family gatherings twice a year, we both have jobs and are past the point of comparison etc. I had a baby boy last year and we named him a common name, so nothing like a grandfather's name or anything. There are many people called like that. I claim no ownership of that name. Last month my cousin delivered a baby boy as well. When she and her husband announced she was pregnant, they already knew they are having a boy but refused to share what name they had picked for him. I made nothing of it, thought they probably just wanted to feel special and announce the name in a big way, or that maybe they had chosen some made-up name and did not want our family to judge them for it or try to talk them out of it. I asked her about the name again later and she said they are not sharing it and that even her parents don't know. I said okay and dropped it. Last month she delivered the baby and surprise surprise, she named her son the same name my 1-year-old is called. I was shocked at first and did not understand why they kept the name a secret and did not tell me. I don't mean ask for my permission, because obviously I do not have copyrights to that name, but at least say hey, would that bother you? We love the name, just wanted to let you know etc. That is what I would have done at least. I would have even asked my colleague or a neighbor, not just a friend or family, if I was about to name my kid the same name they named theirs. My mom thinks I am overreacting and that there is nothing to it, people can name their kids whatever they like. I agree, and I guess I am not angry that they chose the same name, because that is in a way flattering, but that they kept it a secret, and I can't think of any good reason why, other than they knew it wasn't nice and wanted to avoid having to justify their decision or risking me telling them I don't agree and that they should choose another name. I am pissed at my cousin, and now whenever someone is mentioning the name of our sons, I do not know who they are referring to. I refuse to call her son by his name. So far I only referred to him as the baby or the little one, which I know is awful because the poor kid is in no fault here, but I just can't say the name and not think of my kid. Anyway, I might be still mad about the childhood competition, so my judgment is not clear, so I am here for an insight. Comment 1. YTA for your attitude about what is a non-issue. You barely see this cousin twice a year and I doubt her baby comes up in every conversation you have with other people. As much as you insist you couldn't care less and you're not angry about this cousin and her life, you obviously do care. A lot. Comment 2. NTA, as it sounds like your cousin wanted to push your buttons, with all the secrecy, and sadly until now it sounds like she succeeded. The solution could be to refer to your child as the firstborn as Big Harry, or whatever the name is, and your cousin's kid as Little Harry. It's what my family did. It also may have the bonus of annoying your cousin, as to her insecure mind the big designation would somehow make your child seem better than hers. Comment 3. NTA, we used a family name for our daughter as she has a second cousin, male, who has the same name. We're quite close with the extended family, so we discussed with my husband's cousin/his wife beforehand and got their blessing to proceed. The babies are 1.5 years apart in age and likely won't go to the same schools, so we don't anticipate too much confusion while they're growing up, but they've already been designated boy, insert name, and girl, insert name. I don't blame you for being annoyed and would try your best to embrace this. Find a cute nickname for your kid or way to differentiate before your family comes up with something for you.